How's it going, everyone? Man, oh man, is there a lot of talk in regards to Microsoft bringing various franchises on over to PlayStation, and I've been very vocal about this topic. It's super exciting. From the lens of a consumer, it's also worrying in the sense that a lot of people are calling for the destruction of Xbox as a console, and that could be pretty damning to the consumer in the long term, because we all know what happens when PlayStation, where any company for that matter, has no competition. That could get pretty dicey pretty quickly, but as far as games coming to PlayStation 5, oh, that's incredibly exciting with various titles, Bethesda games, and various Microsoft IPs that could be coming to PlayStation 5. One of the other ones is that Jeff Grubb noted, the other one that I've heard that is definitely under consideration, it doesn't mean that it's gonna happen, but it's in talks, is Gears of War. Gears of War is being considered for this. Oh man. Now, Gears of War certainly isn't at the level that it was in the late 2000s. I don't think anybody's gonna kid you into thinking that. Gears of War 2 and 3, even Gears of War 1 back in 2006, leading up to the releases of those games were monster releases. Like, those games were massive. Even Gears of War 1, you guys look up some of those commercials, guys. You guys know what I'm talking about. Those commercials are so iconic, and don't get it twisted, I even liked Gears 4 and 5. I didn't think those games were horrible. Gears Judgment I wasn't crazy about, but Gears 4 and 5 I thought were pretty decent, but Gears was at its absolute pinnacle with the release of Gears 2 and 3, and you can make a wide variety of arguments as to why Gears fell out of favor. I'm not here to make that argument or that discussion, but Gears is still an IP that has a lot of cachet, and it is absolutely attached, an absolute iconic franchise to Xbox as a whole. I would really say that number 1 is Halo, number 2 is Gears in terms of their biggest IPs ever. Maybe you can make an argument about Forza, but Forza isn't a mascot like Gears is. Yeah, nobody is putting their Forza cars as a mascot. Gears, legitimately, like Marcus and whatnot, a icon in terms of the Xbox brand. Not to the level of Master Chief, but still a big core figure to Xbox as a whole. So seeing Gears jump over to PlayStation would be like, holy crap, that is huge, because that would be at the level of, you know, like, let's say a Last of Us on Xbox. I would say Kratos, and I think most people would agree with this, Kratos is kind of PlayStation's Master Chief in terms of that top-level iconic character, and then number 2 is probably Last of Us with Joel and Ellie, I would say. You know, number 2 for Xbox, I would say, is Gears Marcus. Like, that's what I would personally say, and it would be the equivalent of Last of Us jumping to Xbox. That would be absolutely colossal. However, the difference with PlayStation and Xbox and Microsoft and Sony at this point is that they have different game plans going forward. Their strategies and how they're gonna handle, you know, their business future is totally different. Is there some similarities? Yeah, they both release big budget video games, but Microsoft and Xbox at this point, Xbox is more of a service with Game Pass. That is what they're prioritizing, and they can utilize delayed releases on PlayStation or even day one releases on PlayStation to sell more copies of the game and continue increasing their cash flow. Gears would sell incredibly well on PlayStation and would heighten the visibility of that brand. Like we said, Gears isn't what it used to be, but Gears on PlayStation, it's not going to take it back to the glory days of Gears 2 and 3. Ultimately, the only thing that can take it back to Gears 2 and 3 is a perfect storm of the game quality, promotional material, and yes, a PlayStation release can play a part in that, but it won't be the whole thing. What I've always said, in my opinion, the most effective game that Microsoft could port on over to PlayStation is Halo Infinite. I truly believe that, and I will die by that statement, because I think Halo Infinite at this point has become a much better game than what it was. It's already got the game quality in. I really believe the game quality is there for Halo Infinite. Is it the best game ever? No. Do I think it can get back to Halo 3 levels of popularity? No. But what I do think is what you have in Halo Infinite is rather compelling and engrossing, but Halo missed the mark in terms of it peaked back in November of 2021. Guys, when you fall off that peak, it is really hard to get back on that peak, and I'm talking about fall off. When you are talking about losing 90 to 95% of your player base, you've totally fallen off, and I don't think it's possible for Halo Infinite to get back to that level, but I do think it can be revitalized to an extent, and I think it would very much be propelled if you did do a PlayStation release, because you would have the novelty of, oh my god, it's Halo on PlayStation. People would check it out. It's a free-to-play multiplayer shooter, and then people would realize, hey, Halo Infinite is actually a pretty decent game now, and thus begins the dialogue online on social media. People being like, yo, Halo Infinite's actually pretty good. And it at least would recreate a spark and give that game a much needed and in fact much deserved second win, because I don't think it's going to be possible right now. Even with all of the updates that they're rolling out, they need a little extra trinket in there for Halo Infinite to really pop off. And again, I don't think it's getting back to where it was in November of 2021, but I do think there's potential for Halo Infinite as a viable live service game going forward. And some people might think I'm out to lunch on that. We'll see if they decide to do it, but I think that one makes so much sense. And yeah, obviously you could sell the Halo Infinite campaign as well. And it would be interesting with Gears, what Gears title would you port? I really think the Gears title that would do the best is a Gears trilogy. Like, if they do Gears 1, 2, and 3, upgraded for Xbox Series, PC, throw a PlayStation release in there as well, do a collection, 60, 70 bucks. I'm telling you guys, people would pay 70 bucks for a Gears trilogy if it was updated, multiplayer, all that good stuff included. People would pay 60 to 70 bucks for that, and releasing it on PlayStation, it would do very, very well. The argument is, like, would you get to a point where you try to work out an agreement with Sony to get Game Pass baked into the PlayStation Store and PlayStation as a platform as well? That's a very interesting discussion point, but there's so many layers to that conversation, because first of all, would Sony want to be in a position where they're literally competing with themselves on their own platform because they have a subscription service with PlayStation Plus Extra? And sure, there's exclusive games, but there's also crossovers, and I highly doubt you would get to a point where people would sign up for both. Let's say they have a PlayStation, and Game Pass and Plus Extra was available. I don't think most people are signing up for both. You would need Plus Essential, though, and then you would need Game Pass for those games. I mean, it's a murky territory that you're getting into, and a lot of discussion points that I am not privy to, nor would I know exactly how it would be handled and how it would be structured in that regard. That's something Sony could answer, and I could only just do my speculation, but I would imagine for the initial term, it would be releasing these games probably at a slight delay, much like PlayStation does on PC. Release those games 2 years later. Don't think it's going to be 2 years, think it might be a year, 6 months, around that range, and then these games would come to PlayStation and then release them at 60 to and then sell them, excuse me, at 60 to 70 bucks. It would be a question of, like, would people pay for a 3 to 6 month delayed release of, let's say, Indiana Jones, and that's $70 when people are playing it for $10 a month on Game Pass? I mean, that's not crazy given that P3R just came out $10 on Game Pass. It's available on, $70 on PlayStation, and, I don't know exactly the player counts on Xbox versus PlayStation, but I would still assume that given Persona, PlayStation player counts are higher, but if you're talking about a delayed release as well, delayed release and it being 70 bucks, I think that would be a little bit of a hard sell for a game like Indiana Jones. But nonetheless, very interesting to talk about. There's so much news to talk about. Gaming's just been crazy, man. 2024 has been a wild year. Game releases, layoffs, unfortunately, game cancellations, Deus Ex, and now this could end up being the biggest gaming story of the year if it actually pans out. So let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, sound off there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.